Okie dokes, welcome back. I thought today we might do a little bit of editing. I'm going to drop us into a project that I've already got on the go. I talked about this briefly or at length in my last video. This is the Google Creative Challenge that they do weekly. And this one is, this challenge is race or racing. And I'm only recording this just because I might, in the process of doing this, look at doing some post-production fixes. I discussed possibly doing a split screen of this shot, but also if I unmute this stuff, I want to see if I can use the agent to redo a couple of shots without music. I think some of the sound effects that Omni embeds into the videos that it generates are useful. And I forgot to use negative prompts, so it put music on some of them. And I'm not so much interested in the music, I'm more interested in the sound effects that it's already embedded, which for me is kind of just cheating a little bit, because otherwise I'd have to track lay sound effects all over this thing. So we'll start from the top and just see, as an example, to see if we can do some AI post fixes, but also maybe use ElevenLabs to generate a couple of sound effects for us. I do have a sound effects library, and I can maybe embed those existing sound effects from the library into this edit, but I won't be able to play those sound effects for you on a video like this because the terms of agreement for the sound effects that I have the libraries for, they essentially say that it has to be mixed with music, therefore not stealable or usable by other people or remixed in other videos. So if I end up using a really cool sound that has been paid for, it's not licensed for anyone else but me, and it's not licensed to be used in isolation without a mix. So let's have a look. So that's a shot that we're probably going to split screen, maybe, or at least use a version of this where the wheels are moving and doesn't have logos and branding on the car. I might just capitulate and just use one of the ones that's been created, hallucinations and all, warts and all. Let's see what else we have here. So I love the sound of the crackling salt and the deep kind of boom when the knee comes down in this shot, but it's got music on it. So let's find this one in Flow. And here it is. And I'm going to select it. And we're going to ask the agent, can you keep the sound effects in this video, but remove the music? I'm really curious to see if this works. If so, it's a pretty interesting, might be a cheat code for even doing some sound design, like, you know, can you just do a sound design on this clip? I'm going to edit the video of the hands on the salt flats to remove the music while keeping the gritty sound effects. Let's see. Oh, it's because it's a picture. Oh, I see. Oops. Oops. I didn't give you the video. I attached an image ref. Sorry. Please remove the music from this this video and keep the sound effects. Assessing task limitations, analyzing the audio. Oops. Something went wrong, please try again. Let's go in here and maybe try it without the agent, but do it in the video itself. Please remove the music from this video. Let's just see what happens if I do that. Okay, let's see what it's done. Nope, still has music. Fail. Okay, so that's not possible. So that's something I might have to see if I can reconstruct somehow. And for that exercise, I'll probably try using 11 Labs. So let's flick over, go to sound effects, and might as well just do it live and see how it works. What is new in sound effects? Loops for your sounds. Oh, okay, so that's right. So that lets you do a sound like waves crashing or birds chirping in the forest, and it will loop perfectly so that when your video loops, it's a continuous audio. I think that's mainly for shorts that start and end with the same frame, so you don't notice that you're re-watching the same thing over and over again. Generate high quality formats, toggle between standard MP3, high quality Opus formats during generation. Not entirely sure what that means, but we'll see. Save your favorite sound effects, fine. Let's get started. So with 11 Labs, I haven't subscribed or bought anything here, but what you get is every month they give you 10,000 credits. They allow you to buy credits or get a subscription. Let's see what my options here are. Free plan. No, so I'm not subscribed. So yeah, so every month I think they give you like 10,000 credits for free. And that's enough to do a little bit, but not a lot. I'm going to payouts. Create or link your Stripe Connect. Create professional voice clones. Share your voice model in a voice library. Oh, okay, so that's interesting. It looks like you're able to create stuff for their libraries and sell them to other users, or you get paid for things that other people find useful. So that's kind of cool. So let's see. So let's search sound libraries for a boom. Let's call it a deep boom. Cinematic tension build up for 4 seconds. Epic cinematic sound effect like a loud thump of hand on table. I mean, that's not bad, but I quite like the one that was embedded in the video. So I mean, they're pretty cool. They're like risers and downers, and some of these are quite sci-fi because everyone loves a bit of sci-fi stuff. And that, you know, it drops, it goes so I'm not looking for anything like that. I'm just looking for a really subtle boom, just like the one that we had. So that one is probably fine, you know, designed boom, but just going to audition a couple more in case I get surprised. And that's kind of it, right?
11 Labs.
If you can hear over the ambulance outside, which I'll wait to pass. That's basically the sound, I think. So let's see if we can grab that and say thank you to whoever gave it to us. Upgrade to download. Shared sound effects can only be downloaded on a paid plan. Guess I'm paying for it. It's still showing me here that I'm on a free plan. So I've logged out, logged back in. So let's make one. Let's make a subtle, deep boom. Let's just see what it does with just that. We'll say 2 seconds long. Okay. So what is this? Looping sound effects? No. Auto. What's auto? Duration. Oh, I see. Yeah. So let's set it here. Or let's say auto. Let's not specify how long it has to be here. What's 30% prompt influence? Let's say 70% influence, so adhere to the prompt X amount. What is this? Automatically improves short or unclear prompts. I'm going to keep that off for a minute. It's going to cost 17 credits. Let's see what it does. I don't like these. Let's try a deep under deep earth boom. Let's just go for it was defaulted at 30% here. We're not looping, we're taking auto. We've got embellishments here. Let's say add environmental context, no. Let's just say go. They're better. I don't like the fact that the sound effect is clipped at the beginning. There should be some empty space at the beginning of the audio to be able to fade into it if you need to. This clips, and so it creates a bit of a pop when you play it. But you should generally have a little bit of air or space before the sound effect. Maybe that's something that can be specified. We'll go with the first one. And it doesn't sound very loud to me, so we'll see if we can. I usually take the WAV. MP3 is fine, 44.1 kilohertz, 48, a little bit more range means that I can adjust the audio levels a little bit without losing too much of its audio integrity. Those are my sound effects libraries. These are actually from a company called Boom, and they do a lot of sound effects for computer game cinematics and games in general. They're really cool. Now what I want is a crackling sound, like crackling salt, but it wouldn't be crackling salt. Let's say crackling hard ice, and we'll say about 3 seconds as well. Let's just see what happens. So let's say deep. Deep gives it impact. Let's say subtle, loud, crackle of hard ice. Okay, let's try a deep ice crunch. Not gonna lie, okay, the results I'm getting are a little bit hit and miss sometimes, but this is kind of interesting. I could add a reverb in post, but I'm gonna grab this one and just see how this sounds anyway. And we'll pop it in. What we're gonna do is mute this clip here. Okay, we've got our deep earth boom and our reverberant ice. And then, I mean, look, that's actually not bad. Let's grab our deep earth boom. I'm going to make a couple more audio tracks here. Generally, personally, I prefer mono, but I'll keep them stereo for now. I usually do like 8 tracks of mono for sound effects, which I'll split left and right anyway. Because I don't like it when You know, especially when you've got a music track and you hear like some instruments here, some instruments here. For me, it's really off-putting. I might switch it to mono tracks anyway. But we'll just go ahead and make my usual setup track. I'll call it mono. Okay, well, I'll just change them all to mono. Let's see what happens. If it still plays. Okay, so it does. I quite like the sound of that. Deep earth boom. It's quite cool. Yeah, so excuse me, I'm using a trackpad on a laptop, so my setup is a little. Does that work? Do I shift? There we go. So you can shift click your tracks to remove them all. A little bit early. Let's go a couple of frames this way. That feels about right. Because there'll be music under this, it'll be fine. I don't want it to clip off like that though, so we're going to throw a little fade. But I need to fade to nothing. I can't fade to another clip. That's fine. And what I can do, and then once his fingers have settled in, we'll get rid of this guy here. And interestingly enough, that can actually be a cut point right there. And to enable my magnet here again. Let's cut it there. And what we'll do is we'll extend the audio sound effects across a little bit. That one I think still has my AI. No, it doesn't. It just sounds funny because I retimed it. It's got atmosphere. It's got a little bit of wind in the background. You won't hear that too much under the. You won't hear that too much under the music anyway. The step. What I might do is I might get a slightly better footstep on snow. I know it's meant to be a salt flat, but I highly doubt that you're going to get a footstep sound on a salt flat unless someone's actually gone out to specifically build a proper professional sound library from a shoot location in that area. So chances are that snow is going to be more common. Okay, let's try, we'll have to create one. So crunchy footstep. We'll say a light, crunchy footstep on snow. It's too flowery, too powdery. Still a little bit too squeaky for hard snow, hard packed snow. I'm going to download it to test whether that works, but we'll try a different, we'll try to describe what it is. Light, crunchy footstep on hard, packed, on dry, salt. Let's see. Too powdery, too light. Yeah, I don't like the rubbery sound that it's making. Let's just try dry ice. Isn't that bad? I can pitch this down to make it deeper. So we'll grab that guy. So the AI generated clip does actually inform a little bit of the the audio sync, where things need to happen. So I can. One useful little trick that I'm using at the moment as well is I've enabled a column in my edit project here called usage. And what this does is it counts how many times a clip is used in my timeline. And it's very useful for being able to say, I've used it, or do I want to reconsider something that I have missed or didn't or disregarded earlier? So that's the standard one. Okay, it's a little bit. It does sound a little bit like it's a little bit too long, and it tears like a tearing piece of paper. So it might end up actually using that snow one, but I'm going to just see how it sounds. And what happens if I pitch it down? I could play with doing it in the equalizer, but I'm not very good at reading the equalizer settings. Look, it sounds accurate. I probably, let's just see what it sounds like when I go full deep. Too much. Yeah, about 5. It sounds about accurate. It's a little bit strong for me. I'll leave that just as is, because sound is something I could fiddle with all day long. Yeah, that sounds actually pretty good, So I'm going to get his breath, this kind of echoey breath. Now this is something I could probably just record myself, go, or do that. But we're going to it's not about me doing this. It's I want to play with the AI. I have to say that for some of the work that I do, this is a really fun toy. I mean, I paid tons of money for sound libraries. But if I can custom design a specific sound for a moment, that's equally good. Especially something that's not generic. Like I could find that sound, it'd take me a while. Designing one here it feels a little bit quicker. And I'm really, I do have to say, I'm really kind of concerned for friends of mine who are sound engineers and sound designers. If you can describe it well enough, you might be able to actually get a really good sound. Although a friend of mine from years ago when I worked at a commercial company called Peter, he designed the ringing sound of the TV set from the movie The Ring, that high-pitched kind of sound. And it was a really lovely little anecdote from him. He said, "Do you know what that sound is?" And I said, no, I've got no idea. To me, it sounded like a train in a tunnel kind of screeching on its rails. And he said, what I did was I bought a super sensitive microphone, and I bought an old TV set, really old TV set with an oscillating mechanism, which when it spins up, it draws the lines on the television. So he was getting full meta with his sound design. He got dogs barking. I might just wait for the dog to stop barking. So he went full meta with his sound design, and so when the TV turns on one of these old boxy televisions, there's a mechanical thing that rotates and spins up. And to your human ear, you won't be able to hear it. Maybe a kid will be able to hear like a slight sort of, it sounds like the tinnitus in your ear sometimes, like a bee. But it's really subtle, and the human ear shouldn't be able to pick that up. So what he did was, with this extremely sensitive microphone, he put it inside the TV, turned it on for this oscillating piece to spin up. And he had to slow the sound down thousands of times, I think he said, because it spins at such a high frequency that it's just such a high pitch noise that when you slow it down, it sort of gets to a level. So the sound of The Ring from the movie The Ring was designed by my friend Peter, and he did it by recording a TV set. So it keeps it in theme, which I really loved. Yeah, so I'm doing a deep breath, exhale, deep. Yeah, let's just see what happens. Yeah, so that's a problem. See how it sounds like a stick hitting a drum or a cymbal? It sounds like my soul's getting sucked out of me. Slow, heavy breathing through mouth. I mean, if I was working on a horror movie, these would be great. Slow, heavy breathing through mouth. Slow, calm exhale through mouth or lips. And let's see if we turn this on, whether it helps. And I'm just not sure. Prompt influence. Let's just see what happens. Better. That's better. That's basically what I need. I would say that's perfect. Let's import you. I don't know about you, but I'm actually quite enjoying this. It's quite fun. So I'll pop you on. So the important thing is with your sound design, not to be too I make this mistake a lot because I love sound so much, which is I pack it full of everything. You know, I go all out. But sometimes you just need moments. Pick your most important moments. What are the important story elements? And there's probably one of my favorite computer game cinematics for sound is the Baldur's Gate 3 computer game cinematic. If you listen to the music and if you listen to the sound effects, the sound design is ultra simple and extremely effective. It's so perfect. There you go. Perfect. So now we have whatever it is that these guys designed in AI. This is part of the clip, so that's fine. I'm just going to throw a little transition on this. I don't want to muck around too much and too long, because I could spend all day doing this. Where are my audio transitions? Just throw a crossfade on this guy. Too much, so let's make it shorter. So that technically might be correct, but also it could be the AI picking two different engine sounds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy back into Fairlight. We're going to find that clip. We're going to pitch him down. Pitch, reverb or deverb. So those two sound effects are going to save your lives every time. Pitching something deeper gives it weight, makes it sound cool. Reverb, whoa, gives that nice little echo. You're going to love it. Let's have a look. It looks like there's some presets here, possibly. Oh, you can save it. I see. You can save your presets. Let's audition that. Of gone too far, so let's bring it back a little bit. And actually now, now actually I don't need the transition anymore. Have I deleted? Yeah, I've made a cut. So let's go back to the edit. We'll get rid of the transition. There's my arrow tool. Boom. Maybe a small one then. We'll do like a 4-framer. So 1, 2 framer. Do you know what? Let's layer him. See if we can layer him. So we'll have this one cut out, but we'll have this one come in. See if that does anything. I'll just do a little fade here. Short one there. I suppose I could have done this in the. That'll do. Yeah, and because there'll be some music under there, I'm not going to be too precious. And here, I want to reverb. Verb. So what this does is basically gives it an echo. Ooh, this is scary. I'm not used to looking at something that looks like this. Pictures and stuff, graphs. For sound designers, you guys do get pretty technical with your visuals. And actually what we're going to do is throw a little fade transition. Do I have to do that in the edit? Or can I do it here? I think I have to do it in the edit. Or I have to close this guy first. Oh, okay. That's kind of fun. Let's bring him back a little bit. I'm kind of liking this. He's probably caning it a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do is pitch him. Like I said, pitch and deverb are your friends. Pitch is my best friend. Love a good pitch. We'll go about 70. Go about 4. Sure. Cool. So now this is probably fine. I don't actually need to hear him running there. This can just be music. Now what I would probably want to do is copy that sound of the F1 race car. But it's going to sound repetitive if I do that, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So if I copy you, pop you down here, paste you. The other thing that I did as well is you can set your timeline up to show you duplicate clips, so you know if you're repeating something. Very useful. So let's that's probably going to be fine. I can do that without getting into too much trouble with sounding repetitive. We're going to keep that sort of high end, it sounds like a high altitude traveling sound of that vehicle. I'll play it for you. We're going to keep that for a couple of reasons. That's sort of alluding to the fact that he's hit top speed. So what I'm going to do here is turn down the volume on this guy. Maybe there is an easier way for me to do this with a hotkey. So let's go to keyboard customization, DB, audio operations. Okay, cool. So I'm going to set keystrokes to be able to do this just by keystrokes. Now let's do that. Let's cancel. I'm going to go option down for 1 dB, option up for 1 dB. I'm going to go 3 dB can be shift option down, and up can be shift option up. Save that. Let's close you. And let's go option 1, 2, 3. Hey, look at that. Shortcuts without having to go to the inspector every single time. Oh, I've muted you. Okay. Let's shift click my tracks just to enable everything again. And I'm going to whack us the tiniest of little crossfades here. Let's just do a 1, 2. Just to soften it, make it not so much a hard cut. Do the same here. 1, 2. That's fine. I'll live with it because we'll have music. And what I'm going to do again is copy this guy, paste him down here. How repetitive does it sound if I'm using the same sound 3 times? We'll use a different portion of it, so we'll go here and here. Oh, I have to go into this tool. What's it called? Trim mode. And we'll use a slightly different portion of it. And why not? Let's reverb it. Reverb the dickens out of everything. Reverb. Great. That's all I need. Let's kill this. Let's go back to my edit. Can't have that. Don't need it for the final music. We're done there. Don't need his footsteps. This is just, you know. If I was going to be particular about it, what I would probably want to try is get him more center to frame, because what happens is, see this point here where his head is. If I go to the previous cut, that's where his foot is. We're not looking at his foot there, we're looking at him. We're looking here. So this is something called eye line. So if I go forward a frame, your eye then has to recorrect to find him again. So I'm not going to, you know, this is a weekly challenge on a Discord social channel. So I'm, as far as sound design is done, I'm done. This has been an extremely long video. I'm going to cut it down. Now here's another fun little thing that I've been doing, is I've been playing with Google Flow Music, and because obviously normally I'd just go to temp music, I'd go to film scores, I'd go to tracks that real composers have written for car chase scenes, or just intense football movies as well, that kind of stuff. So what I did here was I basically just described what I'm doing. I said, give me a minimalist atmospheric tension track for a dry salt flat race between a man and an F1 race car at sunset. The visuals do most of the talking, a stripped back arrangement of low frequency drones, sharp infrequent orchestral stabs, can create immense tension, blah, blah, blah. And then it's given me 2 options, and I think the second one was the one that I preferred. The first one, let's have a listen. droney. Sorry about this, I gotta... Okay, so I do like that, where it really builds and kind of goes nuts. That's a really cool riff. So I think I decided that I could actually use the two of them. So use this one for the tension build at the beginning, and then when he races, go to the one we just listened to. So if we have a listen to this one. This one's got like a bit more of a heartbeat, tension build. But it's very samey. It doesn't really do much more than that. It's just very flat. So I reckon I can just take the two of them. Use the setup from this clip here, which is called Horizon Line Tension, and then use that really epic sound from the Salt Flat Dual. Now, what's really fun and interesting here is when you download them, you can download a video in case you want to post it on YouTube. Or Google Play Music. You can get the stems, which splits out all the instrumentals, all the tracks, so you can either remove one particular, like, you know, that ding sound that we just heard in one of the tracks. You can get rid of that. It gives you a number of different audio types. I'm just going to grab the WAVs, the WAV files. Alrighty, so now we have our Salt Flat Dual. So from around there, we know what we're gonna be racing. Tension, tension, tension. Car goes off, and I want him to be the hero, so he gets the hero music. Ooh, it's a very long track, so obviously I'm going to need to trim it up a little bit. Grab my Horizon Tension. I'm just going to see what happens when I play the two. Oh, and also I'm going to expand this a bit so I can see my waveforms a bit better, see where things are happening. Oh, I didn't, for Salt Flat Dual, I didn't actually mark an endpoint. So I should have marked an endpoint here. I usually edit in a software package called Avid, and I need to see if there's a setting here that like the one in Avid where you don't need an endpoint to make a cut. It just goes from the playhead. So normally I would mix these levels. Okay, so we've got a little sync thing to fix up there, and then I noticed an audio sound issue on one of the cuts. I think when we're revving our engines. So we're going to go from there, delay it a little bit. I'm going to cut the tail off this guy. Get rid of my magnet. Cut the tail of this guy because he's done already. Done. That'll do. It might be a little bit loud, so we'll drop it down by, what was it? 1, 2, 3. Ooh, that's cool. And there's a little bit of a bump in the audio here, so let's see what happens. Whoa, I hate doing that. So we'll let this build a little bit. From here, we'll grab a crossfade, and we'll just let it sort of come up to, you know, around about there. And so it kind of drops off a little bit there. There's a little bit of a in fact, it makes a little ding ding sound. So let's actually do a little fade out there. And now there's an issue. There's a couple of audio issues. Now that I've got the sound in, I can hear where things clash a little bit. So that's a bit loud for me, so we'll go, and maybe I'll reverb it, so 1, 2, whoop. 2, 3, and we'll reverb this a little bit more. Fairlight, so I already mixed it. Let's close that. How did it sound? A little bit too, took it too far. There we go. So what was the issue with it again? It's like it's in a room. It's in a room. So let's decrease the wetness. Reverb time, a little bit too much. Distance, maybe try that. Still feels too close. Still feels too close. Let's see what distance does. It just feels like it's in a room, doesn't it? It just feels like it's like here in an echoey room. That's what it was, a reverb time. Just needed to be longer reverb time. And let's it's still a little bit too much. So let's go back to edit. Another 1, 2, 3. Actually, let's just make it -12. And I like that deep boom, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Same treatment here. So we go Fusion, Fairlight. Grab my old pal the reverb. And we'll turn him down a little bit because he's basically background noise, but let's see if we go, see how this sounds. Ooh, no, it sounds like too much. Too much. Let's make it softer. Let's make it longer. I don't know if distance actually does much. So he's too loud for starters, but we'll adjust that. I just want to get this reverb right. Yeah, that'll be fine. And let's turn you down about 6 dB. So this here, personally, I'd want it to be a more aggressive, like a real revving of the engine, just to kind of shock the audience. But that's fine. We'll just make it a little bit louder. In fact, what we can do instead is roll the edit a little later. Or so let's make it aggressive. It's too soft. Let's just go hard cuts. And let's up you 1, 2, 3. And let's actually fade this guy off a little bit at the tail. But we'll you know, hard cuts. Let's make it less soft. Let's make it aggressive. And this beat here is a little bit too quiet, so let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 maybe. I'm looking at my audio levels and I'm in the red, so I really shouldn't push it too much, because YouTube crunches it and lifts the levels as well. Musically, that's not really working for me. So what I'm going to do is, you know, the tension build and all that sort of stuff is fine. I'm not going to try getting clever and mucking around with the music. So let's try a different tactic. So yeah, what we're going to do is, it does feel like it's just too quiet here, so I'm going to, that little beginning there, the entrance of the car, is a funny little happy accident, so we'll leave that there. We're going to go here, grab this guy, close the gap. There's my magnet. Okay, we can drop this down a little bit now. 1, 2, 3. So I think this shot needs to be sped up a little bit. So we're gonna. I'm not going to be able to get away with a proper retime. Maybe if I can use AI mode. So let's retime controls. Like the energy's high, the music's high, and then everything's in slow motion. Retime controls. Ooh, no, not that. Let's go to change clip speed. Let's go. We'll try. I don't want to go to 150. Let's try 120. And when I do that in clip speed, I have to make sure I'm rippling the timeline. Oh. No. Change clip speed, ripple 120. We'll fix that later. Yeah, and with the energy of the music, it changes the feel of the edit, so we can cut him. So yeah, we can cut the tail off that. Ooh. That's because I'm not in here. Need that. Fix that later. This is true. Yeah, so it's already with the high impact music. It feels now like the edit can come back. And let's also retime you. Clip speed, we'll do 120. 120 is usually a good safe way. I usually call that a Shannon 20, but that's an inside joke. Let's smooth it out because the retime is a little bit jumpy and skippy. So let's go to retime and scaling. I'll do an optical flow, and if it's not good enough, then we'll do an AI estimation. And for your render ranges, for rendering, you go into playback and go to render cache and choose smart. And that will just... That's fine. And yeah, there's one more thing that we could do potentially is if we actually did want to go to the trouble, go to your retime controls. And I think here there is a way for me to set a keyframe. Keyframe, speed change. Speed change, keyframe, go to my last frame, add another keyframe, and at this keyframe, let's try 150. Fine, whatever, 152. Has that done it? So if I go back to this keyframe, it's 120, this keyframe is 150, it's going to re-render it, let's see how it looks. Yeah, so a buddy of mine in commercials taught me that trick is you basically just do a retime on a vehicle accelerating to make it feel faster. Thanks, Brendan, in case you ever watch my channel. Let's see if we can go 200. Just for the fun of it. See what happens. I want to say it feels like it's doing something, but I can't tell. It's just because of the nature of the shot being slow motion. But you know, it's. I think it's done it. I think it's better. I can take that sound and just do that. That's fine. Could probably even make him a bit quicker, to be honest. Let's go to speed change. Let's make you 140. Okay, and then we'll just use optical flow. We'll cut the head off that. So bring it to here. Oop. Got to enable my trim mode. I need a shortcut for that. In Avid, you just sort of oh, hello. Oh, hello. Does that also work in this mode? No. Sort of. Maybe I could make that work. It's better in Avid. Well, let's trim it. They call that shoe leather. There's a lot of stuff at the beginning. Yeah, we'll just do a little bit of a jump cut there. I wanted to reveal him as catching up, but looking at an empty frame for such a long time is just a waste of space. So we'll have him come in right there. And reveal from right there. Okay, some more final touches on our audio. So if you remember that that knee shot, I think that's it there. You know, you could start to have fun with more abstract kind of, and that's the deep breath. You can start to have fun with more abstract sounds at this point. Where is that knee shot? Yeah, that's it there. Copy you. We'll just recycle something that we heard before, but you know, if you want to get a boom there on the salt flats, kicking up the salt dust. Make it a bit boomier, louder, because the music's really pumping here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sounds a bit sparse and bare, but you get the picture. You can kind of fill a lot of this stuff out now. At this point, maybe what you do is you do leave the sound in, right? But you just turn it way down. You mute it, or you muffle it. Maybe there's a sound effect that works quite well for that. Let's re-enable that. And then, you know, do we want to play with getting a sound to sort of tell his story, catching up to the vehicle? Throw a tiny little fade on that, just so it's not such a hard cut. Yeah, I think at this point now the sound of the vehicle and all that sort of stuff can kind of drop by the wayside now. That can be a little bit lower. And we can drop those as well. There's my crossfades. Crossfade you. Drag these two fellas. Make it a little longer. It's a little longer than I want it to linger on the end there. I'd probably want to fill out a couple of more bespoke little sort of sound design-y bits here and there. So long as it finishes on the beat. That last shot is very long for my liking. But I think that's probably all that it needs to be for now. I'm really not going to fiddle too much with this. I think it's fine for what it needs to be. It's just a little creative challenge that's just for a bit of fun. Fine. So yeah, you could probably end up putting like logos and text and all that sort of stuff on this, but we'll just leave it like it is. It's good enough for what it needs to be. Just a bit of fun, painstaking exercise. Cool. I hope you liked the little edit session. Couple of sound effects tools with 11 Labs. I had fun with it. I think that was really interesting, that I can create a specific sound effect for something that I specifically need. Rebuild a little bit of the audio that I couldn't remove using the Flow video model. That would be a nice addition to have, to actually be able to say, oh damn, I forgot it's baked in the audio, can you remove it and just leave or rebuild the sound that you had before? But we reconstructed it by making it ourselves, so that was a worthy exercise in itself. What else? And I showed you a little bit of my editing process, and this was for the Google Flow Creative Challenge. Watching someone edit is a little bit like watching paint dry sometimes, so I am trimming this down as much as possible just to give you the important stuff and then just move on. I'll upload this video to YouTube and then send a link to the Google Flow Creative Challenge channel, just to say, here's my weekly submission for the Creative Challenge. I think that's it for me for now. Hope you're enjoying the other videos on the channel. Thank you very much for watching. If this has been useful to you at all, please consider giving a little thumbs up. It's much appreciated. See you later. Bye.